Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Majority Report post show. I hosted the Majority Report today, if you missed it. And I thought, while I'm doing the first hour of the show and then joining the Thursday crew for the regular fun half, I thought, why not continue with the fun, being that I took off from work to begin with. It's to just spend more time with you all here. I'm still using the Majority Report background. That's unauthorized because we're not on the Majority Report channel. Let me put on my own background. There we go. I'm sure Sam wouldn't have cared. But maybe he would have. I just ruined my little chance to host again. Oh, man. I ruined it. All right. I'm going to open up the phone lines here. Let's get. By the way, you can call into this show if you've never seen my show before. I didn't do like the intro and everything because this isn't a full episode. I don't have my own guest as usual, but I am doing like how I do the second half of my own show, where I take calls. Now I don't have a phone system like the Majority Report, but I do have Skype, and so if you open up Skype and search Doomed Live, you can call Doomed Doomed Live, Live, one word, Doomed Live. You can call into this show. And we already got a caller. Let me pick up the phone. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Tony from Texas.
Hey, Tony. Can I pull your video feed up on the screen?
Please do.
All right, will do. What did I do with the window that does that? Oh, okay, here we go. See, I'm a little bit behind.
You're right. You don't have a phone line like the Majority Report. Yours works.
Oh, I'm using the wrong backdrop. I'm using the scam economy backdrop when I should be using this one. How you doing, Tony? What would you like to talk about?
Let's see. I was the first call that you took on the Majority Report today, but I could not hear you. I was
I'm
the
sorry.
817. That's okay. I'm getting to talk to you. I'm only going to get to talk to you twice today instead of 3 times. So
there we go. You're going to call in tonight too? Oh, okay.
I'm going to call in tonight too.
Perfect. Don't forget, everybody, tonight, 9 p.m., Scam Economy. Another episode of Scam Economy, as usual, on Coinbase and their recent controversies and woes. Tune in right here, youtube.com/Matt Binder. What's up, Tony? What would you like to talk about?
It's going to be a great show. Patreon.com/Matt Binder.
Ooh, there we go.
Well, okay, I got to get this off I wanted to get this off my chest on the Majority Report because it's a grievance I have with a Casual Friday from a few weeks back. Mean Girls came up in conversation, and no one, not one person, brought up the fact that Neil Flynn, the brilliant and effervescent Neil Flynn, is in that movie. And I needed it to be said that Neil Flynn is in Mean Girls, y'all, and is a small but phenomenal part of it because he's Neil Flynn.
I didn't know that.
He's the dad. The guy who played the janitor on Scrubs.
Neil, I'm really bad with some of this stuff. Oh, okay.
Dude,
he looks familiar. Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. All right.
It's brilliant, like improv actor. Like his part in Scrubs was supposed to be just like in the pilot.
I never watched Scrubs.
And he improv'd a line that wound up keeping him on like through the entire series. And most of the times the script writers for Scrubs wouldn't even write lines for him. They would just, write everybody else's lines and then whatever Neil says for the janitor's parts. Because he's that good. He's that good.
All right.
And then do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I don't watch that either. I'm bad.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, you got 2 kids. When are you gonna find the time to watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I watched Stranger Things. I watched all that. I thought that was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was his best season since the first season.
And Stranger Things is good. But What We Do in the Shadows, just the last week's episode had this line in it that I'm obsessed with now. Rich people are like veal, disgusting in concept, but buttery on the tongue. And I
don't recall how veal tastes. I'm really ruining every point you have to make.
No. I mean, IMO feels a bit overrated, but I really like the analogy really works. Rich people are in concept disgusting, and the best use for them is to be et.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Eat the
I agree.
rich,
I
y'all.
agree. There you go. There you go.
Anyways, I will save the last bit for
For
the
tonight, well, you got
scam
some,
economy post
you
show.
got some crypto. I'm
It's
assuming.
something crypto
All right, yeah.
related,
Let's
so
call back tonight and let's do that. All right.
will do.
Have a great day, Tony. I will see you in just a few hours.
I will look forward to the rest of my bender.
There we
Later.
go. Oh, Bender. I like. Damn. Why did I think of that? Thank you.
Later.
All right, let's go to the next caller. Ooh, someone, I was just about to grab your call and you dropped it. Go ahead, let's do this. Whatever you'd like to call about, anything and everything. No need to message me and ask if I want to talk about this topic or that topic. This is how I roll. You call in, I take your call, you surprise me. The calls are not, it's whoever calls first, it's first come, first serve, because Skype doesn't have a line of callers. If you call in and I take someone else's call, you got to hang up and wait for me to be finished with that call and call back in as soon as you can. As soon as you hear that call end, just call in and I take it. And you surprise me with whatever topic you want to talk about. Let's go to the chat here. We got some. Oh, wait, another caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? You are on the air. You got to listen to the Skype, not the stream. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Brian from the Poconos. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Brian. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was calling in. You guys did a segment on Majority Report about Mastriano.
Yes.
My wife is actually a public school teacher, and last night we were reading an article about Mastriano's, I would argue, arsonist public education program.
Oh, go ahead.
He wants to slash funding for our public schools by about $13 billion in Pennsylvania, which would result in the district my wife is in about 900 layoffs. Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 1,000 layoffs. So it is, it's crazy. It's completely insane here. And basically anybody who's a supporter of Mastriano that we've seen is like a member of that business owner class. I haven't seen anybody with Mastriano signs other than like businesses. So It's really interesting how quick they jump in line to sort of commodify the commons. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you like sort of nailed it in terms of how they just easily switch over like that and don't even care how it looks because you know, for Mastriano specifically, let me call back what we were talking about earlier. I mean, he's running as a straight up, I am as Republican as they come. If that's who you are, I'm your guy. He's not trying to pull the whole shit that like Youngkin in Virginia did, where he tried to bring in, the hoity-toity PMCs. Perfect, perfect callback there too, of like the liberal class in Virginia that he was successfully able to do by weaponizing CRT and stuff. This is a guy, Mastriano I'm talking about now, who's straight up saying, I'm going to give you the right wing, the far right wing candidate that you Trump supporters and MAGA faithful in PA want. As someone in PA, would you say that's the right way to describe him? I don't feel like he's trying to reach out to anybody.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, PA is kind of weird, right? Like they say it's like Alabama between Pittsburgh and like the Lehigh Valley or Philadelphia. But yeah, I mean, it's as radical and insane and batshit fascist crazy as you can possibly get. And I think it's a thing, right? Like being a leftist, and then I'm married to a public school teacher, and I got kids in school. Like with the way this crazy ass country goes, it's already enough, like, and now we've got this guy running office, and it just makes all the rhetoric way worse. And, It's just, yeah, it's as far right as you can go without just outright saying like we want to genocide the Jews or the transes or whatever their new villain of the week is, their new T-shirt of the week enemy. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to work. I think there's a lot of people in Philly, like Philly is really pissed still at like the MAGA movement over the bad things happen in Philadelphia. You talk to people in Philly, they still bring that up. So, I don't think that he'll get much support in the suburbs or in the big, urban areas. But in the countryside, I assume it's going to be all Mastriano, 100%. The churches are all, so.
Right. How's his opponent? How's Josh Shapiro? I don't know too much about him.
Well, oddly enough, I'm very happy with Shapiro because I was defrauded by a student loan company, and he got me a $500 check.
Not bad.
So there was a lawsuit that went through for student loan scam where they were like allowing people to go on like basically endless I forget the forbearance, I think it's called, and without like ever telling you the guidelines. This happened maybe like 15 years ago, and the suit went through, and I ended up getting a check for it. So Shapiro, as far as I'm concerned, is okay. He's just like a neoliberal, or not. I wouldn't say a neoliberal. He's more like just like a regular Democrat. Now, I'll also say this: I do know people that know him very well, that are very politically active in campaigns around here. They seem to like him. Like the Democrat establishment very much likes him. I think his appeal is just that he's not fucking crazy. Basically,
Right.
he's just a normal guy.
How is he? No, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, policy wise, he's fine. He's just kind of like, like young Joe Biden. I mean, I don't really know how to describe him because I don't really care about liberals in general. But his policy prescriptions are fine. Like he's kind of like a milquetoast centrist Democrat. But the nice thing about him is that he doesn't really take any shit with the electoral stuff, and he speaks a lot of truth on how our elections were handled, especially since like the Republicans were the ones that signed into law. Well, not signed into law, but passed the law for our electoral system that they now say is broken and fake. So, he was the AG. He's all right. He's fine. It's all about Fetterman. Everywhere I go, it's Fetterman. So if he wins, I think it'll be because of Fetterman. I'll ride his coat.
Right. Hopefully, because that would really dampen the celebrations in PA if it's a Fetterman and Mastriano win that night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be insane. I can't imagine that anybody that goes out and votes for Fetterman is going to vote for Mastriano. I don't know that it's going to be the same type of atmosphere like 2020 was, where Republicans won down ballot, but then Biden won. Like in my district, it was that way. Like all the Republicans won, but then like Biden took my district, which is really strange. But yeah, I think if he wins, it's going to be because of the Fetterman train. I don't think that. Right. I don't think there's any I don't see any Shapiro signs outside of suburbs anywhere.
I haven't seen recent polling, but maybe a few weeks ago or as much as a month or two ago, I saw some polling, and Fetterman was polling far away from ahead of Dr. Oz, thankfully. But the Mastriano-Shapiro race was much closer in the polls, so that made me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like poised to leave the state if that guy wins, because I not to be like weird with words or whatever. I know there's like a thing with woke or whatever, but like if you throw my vote away, I kind of take that as like an act of violence against me, and that's like what he's saying he wants to do. And I think like the mainstream media isn't adequately reporting on how actually insane this guy actually is.
Right.
He's batshit crazy. He's outright saying like, I'm not going to certify any of your votes unless it goes the way that I want it to. And he's playing videos at all these churches. We're having to report. There's multiple reports out of Pennsylvania of like churches being reported to lose tax exempt status because they are hosting him in this insane movie that he directed that's like about a new civil war starting in Pennsylvania.
Really?
yeah,
I missed this part. I missed this one. Whoa! Tell me a little about that if you have some more details.
so I haven't seen the movie, but basically it's like this weird, I mean, like the Fasci thing, right, is to like constantly appeal to this mythic past. And his claim essentially in this movie is that, and it's so ridiculous. The movie is basically like a revanchist position against like the COVID shutdowns, right? But they don't exist anymore. But he's running the movie anyway, talking about how he's this freedom fighter and you know, the Civil War and revolution started in Pennsylvania and this and that and all this crazy shit about how PA was at the vanguard of the fight for our liberty. And it's like, dude, just shut up. But anyway, he's running them all at churches. And locals are reporting the churches to the IRS. And there have been a couple of churches that have gone up high enough that they may lose their tax exempt status.
Good. Listen, if you are, no matter where you live, if you were in the United States of America and there is a church explicitly getting involved with politics here and standing and promoting and endorsing any of these candidates, it is your patriotic duty to report them to the IRS.
Absolutely. 87,000 armed agents to go appropriate the taxes from the rich at gunpoint. I think
Absolutely.
I might apply.
I just found the movie. It's called The Return. It's called The Return of the American Patriot. The rise of Pennsylvania. And I gotta pull up this oh my God, hold on. Let me screen share really quick. I gotta pull up the poster for it. My God, there it is. If you're watching on the live stream, amazing. It's got Trump and the old school like colonies American flag in the background, and there is, I'm assuming, Doug Mastriano. I think that's him, doing a salute, a soldier salute. Above and below them is the I guess that's the Pennsylvania State House or something.
That's him, and that's it. Yeah, yep.
Amazing.
The other thing too is, and this is the last bit I'll say. They're actually the Republican Party in Pennsylvania is pushing to get abortion on our ballot initiative, and that's kind of tied into this as well. These same churches have been putting out flyers or signs to vote yes to basically the question, which the question is asked in the most insane way, right? The question that they want to put on our ballot essentially asks, should the Pennsylvania Constitution protect the right to life for all Pennsylvanians, including the unborn? So it's an emotional catchphrase, and that may make it onto the ballot. I wouldn't be surprised if it, makes it onto the ballot. But we're also seeing churches put up stuff in favor of, voting, for that amendment as well. So anybody in Pennsylvania, keep your eye on the churches. I'm like watching the ones up here like a hawk, because I will report their asses the second they do any of this shit. But yeah, PA 2022, this is going to be a complete nightmare of an election. Hopefully the Fetterman wave pulls this through. We'll just have to see.
The Dems better get on their hands and knees and thank Fetterman when this is all said and done, honestly. Because
well, the Democrats here have like a guaranteed winner too. I mean, especially in this area, which is a weird kind of purple area. I don't know how much you know about the Lehigh Valley. I know that like Emma went to college in Lafayette, in Easton, but like around here, a lot of the problems are related to like infrastructure and what we're doing with business. They just keep approving more and more and more Amazon warehouses, and it's eating up all the land. Democrats could just run on stopping that, and they would get tons of support. But they're all in cahoots and getting these things. So they're going to have to ride Fetterman's coattails, and hopefully they do.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at some of the recent polling that came out for the Senate races across the country, and it really feels like Democrats have a real chance here to not just hold the Senate, but they might come out with more Senate seats than they have going in. I mean, we got Fetterman obviously destroying Oz, up 11 points. Now, in Ohio, this one I'm questioning. I don't know about this one. I'm not a fan of Ryan, but if this is true, again, I'm fine with thanking Tim Ryan and giving him props if he pulls this off. Tim Ryan apparently 11 points over J.D. Vance right now. Again, not a Tim Ryan fan. Remember his whole thing when he was running for president and he put out the bumper sticker, the anti-Bernie bumper sticker that said like you don't have to yell or whatever. I mean, I am.
He also looked like he had to take shit every time they had him on camera. Like...
Right. I am no Tim Ryan fan, but if he spares us J.D. Vance, unlike mainstream Dems who probably will not thank Fetterman, I am man enough to say, thanks, Tim Ryan, you did good if he defeats J.D. Vance. In Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes apparently is 7 points above Ron Johnson. That one, I don't know. I don't know. That would be something.
I think, to be honest, I live on the eastern part of Pennsylvania, but I know a lot of people from Ohio. I would say you have a far higher chance of ousting Johnson than you do beating J.D. Vance. Now, I think J.D. Vance is completely fucking nuts. Tim Ryan is like super trad dem. Like he's just like a regular Democrat. But the thing that people overlook, especially with regard to Pennsylvania and Ohio, and this is like I guess what I would say living here, is pay attention to Trafalgar. Trafalgar's polling has probably been the closest, which means these are still uphill. Trafalgar tends to poll a lot more of the demographic that actually votes in these two states. And this may have been missed, like mainstream news is not good at reporting this. Churches in Ohio have been like getting people registered to vote like batshit crazy for the past couple years, which is why Ohio is kind of like redshifted so much. These churches are really preying on the despair of these old coal and Rust Belt towns, and they're just getting these guys to register to vote en masse, and they're all just out for revenge. So that's what I think the MAGA movement is about.
Yes.
So I would be surprised if J.D. Vance loses. And I do think, Johnson is such a dipshit. I just can't believe people vote for that guy. What a joke that guy.
Wisconsin's weird too because there's a strong labor movement in Wisconsin, or there was at least, but that's been chipped away over the past decade or so.
They've even come up with reports saying that Wisconsin is less of a democracy than the Congo. So
jeez, I didn't see that one. Jeez.
Yeah, that was, I think that came out in 2020. I read an article. I could probably link it to you. I read an article that was talking about how bad their representation is. Like the Democrats have 54% of the voter turnout, but only get like 30% of the overall state legislature or something like that.
Right.
So, and PA is kind of similar. Ohio is kind of similar, but it's nowhere near as bad. So, we'll see. We'll see what they do if they keep taking power, but.
And now here's one more poll, the Senate race poll that I want to mention that came out. And this one is the anomaly because it's not in the Rust Belt. This isn't PA or Ohio or Wisconsin like the ones I just mentioned. This is Florida. And this one I think would even shock me more than any of those other races. Again, a Democratic candidate I'm not a big fan of, but if she pulled this off, I would be like, how could you not give her props? Val Demings.
Goodbye, little Marco.
Yes, exactly. Val Demings apparently polling 4 points, not as large as the other ones. PA and Ohio were plus 11 for Dems. Wisconsin was plus 7, but plus 4 for Demings over Marco Rubio in Florida. This is Florida.
I know it's crazy, but again, like I said, people missed it in the last two election cycles. I would always say Trafalgar. Trafalgar was on point in 2016 and 2018 and 2020, and it's not as good when you look at Trafalgar for the general election. But I don't know if they've done like a PA or Ohio specific. I think that they kind of do polling a little bit differently and they ask questions in a different way where they get people to be a little more open. But I don't know, like as an activist myself, I kind of have to look at it that way so I can try to drive as many people as I can to vote for the sane people and not the batshit lunatics. So maybe I'm just doomer. I don't know.
No, listen, this is the hand we're dealt, right? We got very little good Dems. We got a ton of Dems that are just better than Republicans. And then we got full-on fascism in the Republican Party. I mean, listen, yeah. I wish we could be like, oh, they're both evil, so who cares? But it's not. It's not. And if this loses me leftist credibility, then oh well, because I've been working on the right-wing beat for too long to not understand what's going on here. And even a crappy Dem like Ryan or Demings would be a huge step up from what we're seeing in the GOP.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if anybody wants any parallels, I mean, there's always Weimar, right? But we can look at just this moment in history. You can look at the material conditions and see that something different is rising. And it's definitely fascistic. I mean, fascism probably originated in the United States with the KKK. At least that's kind of what every scholar on fascism says.
Right. The Nazis have open. It was open that the Nazis took tips and pointers from the U.S., the genocide of the natives, etc. I mean, this is, it's absolutely right.
And one thing that kind of gives me a little bit of hope is that, like, even on MSNBC, you're starting to see them just outright call the Republicans fascist, because that's what they are. It's sort of difficult to deny at this stage what their project is. So, I just hope everybody gets out there to vote. And, as a fellow leftist, it's super important for everybody listening to get active, get involved, even if it is the Dems. I mean, we don't have a viable leftist party outside of the Democrats. So, just try to get involved, do what you can, get out there and talk to people. It's always more effective than it is sitting in your house, Skyping and talking on Twitter and everything else. We need to get active in the community.
Right. Listen, especially if you're in one of these swing states and you're not happy with the Democratic candidate, 100% get it. I'm in New York. We're lucky enough to be in a place where the Republicans, minus like a few like neighborhoods, let me be specific to New York City, because upstate's a bit different, but in New York City, for U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, and so far for a while now in modern times, with even the governorship, it's been all Dems. We can have those inter-Dem fights to get the most leftist candidate. That's what you're seeing up and down the ballot box. The ballot with like state Senate races and assembly races. We don't have to worry about Republicans for the most part. Again, except for a few small communities in New York City. But for the most part, we can have those socialist candidates versus normie Dem candidate contests and not worry about the Republican taking over and winning. Let's get, if you're somewhere like a swing state like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida, etc., and you want to get there as a leftist, let's annihilate the GOP, and then like you could be like these blue states like California and New York, and we could then have these inter-party battles.
Yeah, and that's where I'll thank you for taking my call, and that's where I would like to leave the conversation. Is I think we can't advocate for leftist policies if there's an active fascism in the country. And the reason for that is nationalism speaks to people on a level that is very emotional, and emotions pretty much dictate this entire game. So we have to forge alliances like every other leftist movement in every other country with these awful Democrats, if it's just to honor the people that came before us and protect the rights that they have given us. So I appreciate, taking my call, Matt, and, I'll give you a call another time.
Yeah, great call. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye. Yeah, I feel like I should have given that heads up to people who might be tuning into my stream for the first time, who came from the Majority Report. I let my callers stay on the line for a while. I like to have these full conversations, and Sam and the Majority Report, they get so many more callers usually that it's not possible, obviously. So I usually have the ability to have these longer conversations. If you want to just call for a short little like 2, 3, 4, 5 minute call, you can do that too. Just say what you want to say and say peace. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ben from Iowa, but now I'm not in Iowa anymore. I'm in Cincinnati.
Hey, Ben from Iowa, now in Cincinnati. This is Ben who owned Ben Shapiro at that college speech, right?
Yeah, same one.
Ben, how are you doing, my friend? Did you did you have to move because there was requests
Uh,
from your school to leave Ben Shapiro alone? He was coming back and he didn't want you getting back in there.
oh man, I wish. But no, I had to get a job. I couldn't just, sit in college forever. I
I hear
like
you.
college actually quite a bit.
Yeah, college was fine for me too. I hated high school though. That was the worst. In
Oh
fact,
yeah,
in fact,
definitely.
high school was much tougher than college. At least the college I went to as well. Like my school was like, you think high school was always like, if you think this is hard, wait till you get to college. And I got to college, I was like, this shit's great. Why would I? High school sucks.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you're studying in college. We had one of these old school conservative science departments that really prided on. I remember getting speeches and like, we're going to put your nose to the grindstone to really toughen you up and, have us. Well, I did biology and pharmacology, so they'd have us like memorize concentrations of like calcium in different parts of the heart and stuff. Really asinine stuff.
Right.
But but other than that, anyway, not to not to sort of sidetrack. But I there were two small things related to Doomed that I wanted to call in about that
Sure.
were sort of media critique related. The first one was, have you seen NBC's uh, essentially coverage of monkeypox recently?
I did not. What did they? Give it to me. What is it?
So the shift in tone that I'm seeing is that they're elevating contrarians, basically people within the medical community who are posting on, Medium or Substack or other blog spaces, and then pitting it like it's really weird because there's not this cultural conversation going on. There's on one side you have homophobic right wingers who are trying to say that monkeypox is a gay disease or something, and then you have people who are saying knock that shit off. It's bigoted, but in NBC land, it's as if there's one group of people who are being too sensitive and aren't acknowledging that monkeypox is a disease that's spreading within the gay community. Um, you know, not exclusively, but as like a primary community of interest, at least in the United States. And so the leftists aren't acknowledging that, and the right wingers are acknowledging it, and they're elevating it like that's the cultural conversation.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Did you
It
catch the?
doesn't.
Sorry. Did you catch the Doomed episode on the monkeypox?
Yes, and that's what I thought was so interesting because it feels like that right wing conversation has been sort of sanitized and then uplifted by news agencies. I don't know why anyone would do that though. It's
Right.
bizarre.
Right. Listen, to everyone who like again, I haven't been since that episode. I haven't been following as closely the what's going on with monkeypox, so I'm not sure where it's at right now in terms of the spread. But as of just a few weeks ago, two things could be true. One is the disease, monkeypox, is obviously spreading within it's spreading, period. But it's obviously spreading a bit more as of right now, from what we know, within the LGBTQ community. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of those reasons is due to the AIDS epidemic. LGBTQ people are more likely to get tested after engaging in intercourse. So they would more likely find out whether they have monkeypox or not. Also, though, it does seem like there are, it is spreading within that community as well, due to basically the fact that if someone in that community got monkeypox and didn't know, and they continued to be within that community, and they would spread it. That could happen in any sort of community. It's not something that's just strictly for LGBTQ people. That just happens to be the community being affected by it, this specific disease right now. And then the other thing that's true is that so from a medical standpoint, yes, these communities should be prioritized when it comes to vaccines and treatment, etc., without a doubt.
Right, absolutely.
Number two, though, is that this isn't only an LGBTQ disease. It's not strictly spreading throughout this community, like the right would like you to believe, or MSNBC, apparently, from what you're telling me. This is something that could affect anyone and anyone. It's not spread strictly through sexual intercourse. It can be spread through just direct contact. I believe it can be spread through the air. Don't quote me on that. That one I'm not 100% sure about. I do know that if it can, though, I don't think it's as contagious that way as like COVID-19 is. But it can be spread through physical contact of any kind. Because we have issues where you see children, it's announced that children have got monkeypox, and of course the right starts going, oh, groomers, LGBTQ people are having sex with children, abusing children, raping children. No, that's not what that means at all. It means a child who has regular contact with someone who is LGBTQ, and apparently this has mostly been affecting men who have sex with men, so gay people, bisexual people, etc. They just have regular contact with someone like that. This week we talk about a child who has two gay parents. That's how that child could get monkeypox. There's also the most recent one I saw was a dog was found that a dog had monkeypox, and so I think I saw Tim Pool saying something about how, oh my God, they're bestiality now. They're having sex with dogs. No, that's not what that means. It means a gay person who contracted monkeypox owns a dog and pets them and takes care of them and feeds them and interacts with a dog. That's all that means.
Yeah. And I think that I believe that it's sort of difficult because a reporter can say things that are completely true, but present them in a way that leads people to obvious conclusions. Like, I'm seeing this. I went on NBC.com to see if I could find this article I was reading yesterday, and it's sex between men, not skin contact, is fueling monkeypox. New research suggests. The claim that skin-to-skin contact during sex between men, not intercourse itself, drives most monkeypox transmission is likely backward, a group of experts say, which is it's so incomprehensible of a statement because that's not really a conversation that anyone's engaging in. It's just a conversation that the right wing is engaging in because it adds a layer of medical and body disfigurement fear to their bigotry.
Right. Oh, and let me give some more context to the examples I just gave because I saw someone correct me in there. I think I misspoke on one of them. The child example I brought up is actually a specific example that I read where the child who contracted monkeypox did indeed, that they were able to, when they released the statement about it, the child did indeed contract monkeypox from having like guardians who were gay. The dog one, I think I also in giving that example right after the specific child one, I said, they could have an owner who is gay, but no, that's the dog could have had an owner who's straight, a cis, and that person could have monkeypox and passed it to the dog. I want to be clear there. Anyone who has monkeypox could spread it to anyone else, including children and apparently some animals too, like dogs. Anyone, cis, LGBTQ, anyone who contracts monkeypox can spread it through that sort of contact. Go ahead. Sorry, I just had to correct myself there.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I just wanted to give one call back to something you talked about on your monkeypox episode too, though, which is that it's only spreading in gay communities in the US and maybe some parts of Europe. In the areas where it's been more endemic to, in certain parts of Africa, it has not been a men who have sex with men community spread. It's been just spreading in the general population. And outbreaks that have happened in the past in the United States haven't affected the gay community at all. It's just such all the framing is just so bizarre and just caters
Right.
to this.
Like I brought up on the monkeypox episode of Doomed I did. This really came at the perfect time for the right. This whole rhetoric around monkeypox, because it intersects perfectly with their current crusade against the LGBTQ community and calling them groomers and attacking them in all sorts of horrible, transphobic, homophobic, bigoted ways. And you add the monkeypox thing in, and it's the perfect storm for them. They couldn't have asked for a better setup.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the way in which it, they like when there's any avenue where they can soft pedal their bigotry to a wider audience, with maybe that audience not being able to sort of immediately see the disgusting smell of bigotry kind of surrounding the conversation.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
But so the other one I'd sent you a quick message on Twitter about. I don't know if you ever got the chance to look into it, but I think it's this really interesting phenomena that's happening in mainly the West Coast, I think, which there's still a lot of reporting. Well, I don't know exactly the context of the reporting. I think maybe it just sells really well as a context for a story, which is Asian hate crime. Not saying that it's not happening or anything, but I think there was a really good example a couple weeks ago where basically a younger man had sort of lost contact with his family. He had developed, some severe, I guess, activity and like way of behaving, and he attacked somebody, like an Asian younger man. He spent a few days in jail. He got out of jail, and then he attacked and killed an older, I think, Korean man. And so it's put within this broader conversation of anti-Asian hate crime, which I think is a perfectly legitimate conversation to have and something that we should be talking about. But what happens in the way the story is written is that it leaves the story there. It doesn't add any of the context of maybe fueled racism against Asian people in the United States, or the type of hyperventilating that goes on in the right-wing fever dream world. It doesn't talk about the context or the circumstances that lead to somebody who's going through a mental health crisis just basically being left to wander the street without the support of their family. And because of that, comment after comment after comment is race. And it's something that I don't exactly know how to talk about or think about, because and this is, I guess I was more curious about your opinion and perspective on, because it's almost like we don't have the ability to talk about as a country the fact that crime comes from somewhere. We talk about it like, oh, crime just happens when there aren't police officers to stand around and stop it, even though that's not really how any criminology works. And
right.
then
the whole idea that you need more police to stop crime is ridiculous, because I don't know if you've ever had to call the police or were the victim of a crime, but they never stop the crime. They come to do the paperwork. For example, I've had to call the police when my car was stolen. Nothing was solved. They didn't even find the car. I found the car. You know how I found the car? They knew the car was stolen, and still were ticketing it wherever the person who stole the car parked it. So I found the car because I got informed that my car was receiving tons of tickets through like their like online system. So I found the car. I just had to call them so they could dot the I's and cross the T's for the paperwork, so I could get those tickets removed. And so my car insurance company was aware of the situation. That's really all they're there for. They're there for the paperwork after you're the victim of a crime. There's nothing they're solving. There's nothing they're stopping. I guess if a crime happen, but again, they're not stopping the crime. And the crime where there's like an actual perpetrator out there that needs to be picked up. Like I didn't pursue the car thief, whatever. The person stole my car. They stole some stuff out of it. They asked me if they wanted me to if they wanted to take my car for prints. I said no, that's ridiculous. But I guess if there's like a murderer on the loose or something like that, and there's a crime that needs to be solved, I mean, I guess they'll do that. But they don't stop the crimes from happening. The murders, the robberies, whatever it is, they need to happen first for then the cops to step in. So the idea that like cops deter crime is always the most ridiculous argument ever.
It really is absurd, and I think it's just there's a general ignorance in our culture. There is some research to suggest that if there's a little bit of police in an area, there's like a baseline deterrence effect. Like if people know that police exist, maybe they won't do as much spontaneous crime. But it's just, we never talk about it like that. We talk about it like they're going to show up and catch the person breaking into your car and, I don't know, make sure the community's safe. But the things that make a community safe are things like economic equality between the residents and, a good living wage and safety for a family, economic safety and healthcare safety. It's just absurd.
Right. It's, that's always the argument though. And you're seeing that a lot from Biden loves the police. He loves doing the whole, we're going to solve these issues by funding the police. The police are more than well funded. We don't need any more funding for police. We don't need any more police. What we need is more investment in communities, in the social safety net, in education, in all sorts of public goods. That's what we need investment in.
We have the biggest police force and the biggest prison population, bar none, even when compared with military dictatorships. And if more police and more prisons stopped crime, we would be the lowest crime rate on the entire planet. It's insane.
Right. Yeah, so, you could also extend the same for war. Like, damn, like look at us in Afghanistan and Iraq. I mean, please, all that money we put into military, and look how that whole thing went. That shit show. I mean, we shouldn't have gone in there in the first place.
Yeah. So, but I don't understand. I guess I don't understand what in the American ethos makes it. It's weird because I see these anti-Asian hate stories, and it seems like if there's anti-Asian hate going on, then people immediately check to see the race of the perpetrator. If the perpetrator is like Black or Latino, then it fuels some sense of racism. But then there's this spate of killings, I think, out in Nevada the other week of Muslims, and people don't put that in the same rhetorical box in their head. They completely ignore it and don't associate it with Asian hate crime. And if the perpetrator, is white or it's just some random robbery or something, it's just out of mind. I just think it's like a really bizarre thing that's going on in that circle.
That is a great point. But also, I do think we should also note that like this focus on Asian hate crime is also just like a result of response to COVID-19. Like it wasn't like there was, anti-Asian hate crimes have been occurring obviously for a long time. But it wasn't until they became so egregious during COVID that people decide like, hey, we should make this and I'm not talking about like, Asian organizations and social justice groups that helped bring this to light. I'm talking about like society as a whole deciding that, oh, we should care about this now. Like that was just like a response to COVID. Like we really, where was the care for crimes against, Chinese people, Korean people, Japanese people, Vietnamese people, anyone who looked like they were from any sort of Asian country, where was the care before COVID? So that should also be said. But then now that we are caring about it, your point stands absolutely 100%. In terms of like, a lot of, not everyone who is like Chinese or Japanese or Korean, and they don't make up the entirety of Asia. There's a lot of Asian countries where, India, for example, or Malaysia, or whatever. Like, all sorts of different countries where people look different. Pakistan, like you mentioned, I mentioned Malaysia and a number of countries that are majority Muslim. But yeah, exactly what the point you're making.
Well, and then there are all these refugees in the Midwest from countries like Nepal or Bhutan or Myanmar. Is Myanmar called Burma now? I always get that mixed up in my
No,
head.
I think those are two separate countries.
Are they
wait,
too?
you're right. No, you're right. I didn't know. Okay, Myanmar was formerly Burma. Okay, there you go. So it is Myanmar.
Myanmar's. So
I thought Burma
these huge
still
populations.
existed. Whoops.
of Muslim people coming over from those countries in the Midwest, and they're refugees, which is great because we need people to help with farms, and it gets people away from dangerous situations. And it's somehow totally divorced from the psychology around Asian people. It's just such a weird. I have no idea if it just comes from Americans' ignorance of how just like people and culture exist independently of sort of our racist stereotypes that we carry around as a nation, or what. It's bizarre.
Right. Great call, Ben. Thank you so much for calling in. As always a pleasure to talk with you, even when you're not owning conservative commentators on college campuses.
Sure.
Feel free to call in anytime, my friend. Have a great day.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye. Once again, the phone lines are open on Skype. Just open up Skype, search Doomed Live, and you too can call in and have a full bore discussion with me about whatever you'd like. Anything and everything. Politics, the current events, your favorite movies, music, literally anything you'd like. Something going on online. Let's take this call right now. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Rob from Arizona.
Hey, Rob from Arizona. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, so the earlier caller was talking about Pennsylvania politics, and I don't want to be like presumptuous, but it kind of sounds like Fetterman has got, bring in Shapiro and the rest of the Dems across the finish line, and it seems like that's going to be all good. I feel like the national Democrats, like the party, should kind of shift focus to Arizona, because there's like an incredible opportunity there to kind of get the state fully in Democrat control. The entire statewide Republican Party has become like fully Trump loyalists ever since Kelly Ward became chair of the state party in 2019. So we have election deniers and Trump loyalists running for governor. I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows Carrie Lake, and Blake Masters running for Senate. But there's 2 down ballot races for people who could kind of make Arizona a hellscape. There's Mark Fincham running for Secretary of State and Abe Hamadeh running for Attorney General.
So you're saying that there's a big opportunity in Arizona, right? I did not. Can you break down some of these races a little bit more for me?
Yeah, so for governor, I'm sure a lot of people here know Carrie Lake. She's a former Fox affiliate, Fox 10 anchor.
Right. She's probably the one. She's probably the reason why, if unfortunately, and hopefully after you break it down for us, more people will pay attention to the races there. But I think, if you're familiar with anything going on with Arizona electorally right now, it's unfortunately because of her.
Yeah, so she is. It's hard to know like what actually is going on in her brain, because when Trump was elected, local journalists uncovered posts that she was hosting like anti-Trump protest parties. So she might just be a grifter, but regardless, all of her positions that she would enact as governor are pretty awful. Like she would, outlaw trans women from competing in sports, which actually is on the books now. She would go after people having abortions. just general right-wing nonsense. But the reason I think national Dems kind of need to pay attention here is because the Democrats, they're not great. They're all pretty boring. And well, the woman running for governor has her own kind of set of baggage. Katie Hobbs, she's the current Secretary of State. She was named in a lawsuit. This woman who was a Arizona Senate staffer, her name was Talanya Adams. She was unlawfully fired because she's a black woman and she asked for a raise to have her salary be more in line with her other colleagues, and she was fired by the state Senate. And so at the time, Katie Hobbs was the minority leader in the Senate, and she was named in the lawsuit along with, other people like the Republican majority leader and such. So that narrative has kind of shifted to be like, well, Katie Hobbs has a problem with black people. And that we don't know how much that's going to kind of affect turnout because she's not exactly inspiring. She's just kind of like, I won't do terrible things.
Right. I mean,
but I think, sorry,
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
So yeah, I think kind of the National Democrats need to put the focus here just to really hammer home the message that, yes, we like, for all her faults, Katie Hobbs being elected will prevent the legislature, which is Republican dominated, and they'll probably gain seats in the upcoming election. But she won't sign. They won't have a supermajority, most likely. That Katie Hobbs won't sign legislation that restricts abortion even further. That won't, make lives harder for gay people and trans people. She won't continue what's going on right now is like the siphoning of funds from public schools into private schools. The legislature just passed, before they went into recess, a huge bill that Democrats tried to kind of like say that it was good because it funded public schools, which it did, but attached to it was this voucher system that basically lets anybody in the state get a $7,000. I might be wrong on the number, but I think it's $7,000 to, like the quote unquote school choice, to take $7,000 of funding from the public school to the private school of their choice.
Jeez. I mean, I don't know how to take it because I feel like we got some bad news in there thrown in with some, because I didn't know things were somewhat looking up for Arizona, especially with all that attention on Kari Lake. But also what you're telling me seems like it'd be a real problem for Dems as well.
Yeah, that's the kicker, is that Arizona kind of, I think, should be a pretty big priority in national elections, and especially the presidency moving forward, because we have 11 electoral votes that could be like pretty key for, like the presidency moving forward. And getting Democrats elected in statewide races will make, voting easier. It'll increase the access to voting, and people will see, hopefully, the good that Democrats do in the state. I think Arizona has one of the biggest populations of registered, in terms of like percentage of registered independent voters, because, we had McCain as our senator for a long time, and he had the whole, whether earned or not, his whole maverick signifier. And a lot of people in Arizona fancy themselves independents, even if they vote Republican a lot or Democrat a lot. They like to believe themselves.
Right. That's not something that's unique to Arizona. That's something that, a lot of Republicans like to think they're not following the leader exactly like they are. They like to think they're independent minded. First of all, I fully agree with you about Arizona to begin with. I think, there are states that there needs to be a refocus on, a recalibration of what states are in play on a national level. And Arizona, especially after 2020, which, by the way, I called Arizona for Biden.
Did you do it before or after Fox News did it?
I called, in my map 24 hours before the election actually took place. I said that Arizona, I had an almost perfect map. Georgia was the one that I got wrong. I even got the split votes in like Nebraska and Maine right or whatever. The one thing I got wrong was Georgia, and that's because I felt like it could go either way, and I wrongly just decided it wasn't quite time yet. But lo and behold, it was. But I called Arizona, and I will say that I think there needs to be a recalibration of what makes up a swing state and what makes up a state that has a good chance of going blue for good. And Arizona is one of those states that need to be looked at that way. I mean, the idea that we still look at Florida and Ohio for the most part, I think is absurd that money pours in there for like a presidential race when, I mean, come on, how much more do you need to tell you that it's done there? It's unfortunately, I mean, I wish, but it is. Put that money places where there is movement. I mean, even Texas, it would be better to put money there because at least the movement is going towards voting blue, whereas in Florida, it's just getting redder and redder and redder each year.
Yeah, definitely. And to like kind of go more into keeping Arizona blue, the second most important race, funny enough, I do not think is Blake Masters versus Mark Kelly. Blake Masters is horrific, and he has he's basically a crypto fascist.
Yes.
But the control of the elections is the most important thing after governor to me, and that's the former Maricopa County, which is the biggest county in Arizona. The former recorder there is running as a Democrat. His name is Adrian Fontes. He lost his reelection in 2020 to a Republican who is an anti-Trumper, and he is not an election denier. You know, he has his issues in making voting a bit harder, but we take what small victories we can get. That he is a believer in the election process, and he doesn't buy into any of the nonsense. He pushes back against it very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the Republican running for Secretary of State, his name is Mark Fincham. He was at the Capitol on January 6th.
His name sounds familiar. I'm familiar with him, not because of his electoral success, but this is a guy who's been making the rounds in the big lie, stop the steal movement. I don't know if he's QAnon. I feel like his name has come up there. This guy.
That's Ron Watkins is the QAnon guy who ran for Congress in the second district.
No, I know he's not Ron Watkins, but was he also a QAnon believer, Fincham? He sounds familiar to me, more so than just his. I could be wrong though.
He might be QAnon.
He is. Yeah,
his lane is definitely big lie now. I haven't seen as much QAnon talk from him, but it might have been there.
This is a QAnon linked guy. This is a QAnon linked guy. He's obviously not Ron Watkins, who possibly, very likely, is Q. But Fincham is a full on right wing conspiracy theorist. Yeah,
he's has ties to the Oath Keepers and the Three Percenters as well. He actually has proudly said he is an Oath Keeper.
And this is a guy who won what race is he? He's a Secretary of State,
the Republican primary for Secretary of State. Yeah, he won.
Jesus. That. And this is for people who don't know why this is so bad. This is the person who runs the elections in Arizona, right?
Yep, they sign the sheet certifying elections. So if we go down the timeline where Fincham and Kari Lake win their respective races, and then we fast forward to 2024, and just in this world, Joe Biden runs again, and he wins Arizona. Those electors from Arizona are not going to be Joe Biden electors. Kari Lake and Mark Fincham would not sign off on any electors that go to a Democrat.
Right. That's the problem, folks, and that for the fact that Arizona is trending blue. And these two individuals can possibly have the ability to single-handedly each stop this in its tracks. Stop that movement in its tracks is very bad, very bad. I don't know how else to stress how bad it is.
It would take it out of play for at minimum the next 2 election cycles, because Arizona governor is a term for 6 years.
Jeez. So a lot of bright side, a lot of dark side.
Yes, and that is why I think that I can't stress how important Arizona is to not just for my benefit being in Arizona, and to national strategy for Democrats.
Right.
There's just too much to lose here.
Right. Yeah, and the fact that we had, Biden had all these additional states with, these electoral votes meant that, like, even if Trump was successful in overturning a state like he was trying to, it wouldn't have swung him the election because he would have to have done it in so many states. It was a big deal.
Yep, he needed 2, right? It was like Pennsylvania and 1 more or something.
Yeah, I think so. Or if he didn't get PA, I'm not sure if it would have been 3. But yeah, there was a bit of cushion there if this horrible idea of overturning an election did actually happen in a state. So yeah, it's important that we don't let this happen, period. Thanks for the call. Really great call. Everybody, we need to start paying attention more to Arizona, 100%.
Thanks.
Take care.
You too.
Rob Rousseau, thank you so much, my friend, for the raid over on Twitch. Hello, Rob's 177 viewers. I don't know if all of you are still, stuck around, but I see that quite a few of you did. Welcome to the channel. If I multi-stream on Twitch and YouTube. This is being streamed right now on Twitch and on YouTube. Most of you probably are watching on YouTube because you came over from the Majority Report feed. I'm taking calls right now. I just hosted the Majority Report. I filled in for Emma and Sam. I hosted the whole show, and then Brandon of the Discourse joined me for the second half, and Matt Leck was also there. So I decided, hey, I did 3 hours of the Majority Report. What's an hour and a half, 2 hours more on my own channel? So I'm taking calls, and here's a caller right now. You could search Doomed Live on Skype, and I will take your calls as they come in. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, you're talking to me right now?
I am talking to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Gosh. All right. Hey, yeah, I guess the one thing I wanted to talk about was student debt and the cancellation of that.
But first, though, you don't have to give me your real name if you don't want to, but give me a.
Oh, it's Harrison from Virginia. My bad.
No
I apologize.
Nah, no worries at all. Harrison from Virginia. Great.
Yeah.
Great name, by the way. My middle name is Harrison.
Oh, geez. All right. But yeah, I guess to talk a little bit about student debt was shoot, I had a whole thing prepared, but because I know
take
recently.
Take a deep breath. It's all good.
Right.
On this show, we have a conversation, no pressure. We could talk as long as you'd like. Let's go. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I know. What was it earlier this week? Biden canceled. I don't care about how much money it was. It was a lot. It was all of it. If you were at ITT Tech, it was like 3.8 billion. Or something.
Right.
I don't know if you heard about that one.
I did hear. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone who went to that school and has student debt is getting forgiven, right? That was the news.
Yeah, it was canceled. And right now I'm actually working on trying to get it canceled just throughout if you have a, student debt loan from the federal government. Because and all right. Get a little bit of my bearings. Okay, yeah. So part of what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to get people more interested in canceling student debt. For example, I'm actually trying to think about writing a letter to Bobby Scott, who's the second guy or the second most important person to canceling student debt, because he's like the head of the Education Committee in the House of Representatives. And actually one of the local DSA chapters that I'm actually a part of, because he also happens to be a representative for a couple of people in the local DSA chapter I'm a part of, we actually signed a resolution calling for the cancellation of student debt.
Right.
Oh.
No, go.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I was listening. I thought there was something else. No, that's.
Oh.
I mean, we need to. There needs to be. And first of all, DSA has been doing. Hold on. There's someone at my door. Give me 1 second. They're ringing the doorbell. Just give me a second here. I'll be right back, everyone. Just stay on the line. I'll be right there. This is great for you. You could say whatever you want right now. Don't get me banned from YouTube.
Okay. Well.
I'm back. We are
Hey.
live here, and someone was at my door, and they were ringing the doorbell, so I needed to. Otherwise, they would have never stopped ringing the doorbell. Thank you for not getting me banned from YouTube, by the way, Harrison.
Oh.
So basically,
Just
the DSA has been, absolutely great on the move to cancel student loan debt, obviously. And
Yeah.
the candidates who are backed by DSA, I haven't seen one that doesn't endorse that. There needs to be much more pressure put on Democrats, especially because look at how national Dems, like someone like Biden. I mean, someone like Biden. Biden's the perfect. I mean, he's the president of the United States. Look at how Biden is doing with the younger demographics. When polling comes out, they have the highest disapproval ratings. Biden has his highest disapproval ratings with people under the age of, like, what is it? I think I saw like 45, mostly though, like the age bracket of like 18 to 24 or something like that. I mean, these are, we got that specific age bracket isn't millennials, but we have millennials and Gen Z, which is that age bracket, who are drowning in student loan debt. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
the U.S. government, at least the Democratic Party and Joe Biden himself, can do something about this to help fix this issue. And now, on top of forgiving the federal loans, there also needs to be a move to change how this all works. Because obviously, if we just forgive the current, first of all, forgiving the current loans would be incredible. I don't want to downplay that at all. It needs to happen. It will save a lot of people ruination of a major portion of their lives, where they won't be able to do certain things that come with adulthood due to this lingering debt, which could be as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes.
Absolutely. Part of my organization is...
No, go ahead. No, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Another part of it is, we want to make sure that loan payments are forever, what's the word? Stopped. Like, the continuation of loan payments needs to be stopped permanently. And so, that's another part of that, because honestly, education is a right, and it should, the government should fully fund our higher education. And really right now, as we have it, is that really, the whole student debt thing and tuition that we have is just punishing people for just wanting to get a better education. It's just saying, hey, you want to be, a higher social class, or you want to like do better. Well, here's this debt, so to make sure that can't happen. Because really, that's all it is right now.
No, you're right. No,
the federal government does not need that money.
Oh, no. I mean, the money's already, they've already, when we talk about, who's going to, that's the thing. Like, who's going to cover, like, who, we hear this from Republicans, and obviously, on the majority report, we talked about the professional managerial class today. You hear that from a lot of PMC liberals as well. The idea that, like, if you forgive student debt, I'm going to have to pay for it. I don't want my tax money to go towards paying for other people's responsibilities that they should have. Nah. First of all, I mean, your tax money goes towards all sorts of things that you would probably disapprove of if you knew where it went. It also goes to a lot of good things, but yeah, but first of all, but the main point here, specifically to student loan debt, is no, your tax money won't go towards covering those people's student loan debt. The loans, the schools, the institutions already have the money.
Oh, absolutely.
The federal government, through the loans, have already given those educational institutions the money. All the federal government has to do is say, we're not going to collect that money from the students who took out the loans. We're just going to forgive it. We're just not going to collect it all, which they have, like you mentioned, they have the ability to do so.
Right. And I know that would definitely boost Biden's approval rating. Also, when it comes to tax money, say your tax dollar, with the federal government, when it comes to your tax dollars funding things, I've actually learned that's not really how that works. It's really more if the government spends the money and then does the tax collecting. They spend the money into existence. really
right,
just
of
collect
course.
taxes.
No,
to,
yeah. We're not.
I'd say force us to do things.
Right,
You
the
know, like
government's-
build bridges and
right. The government's not sitting around waiting for your taxes to come in before they can make up. No, of course, yes.
They don't need our taxes. They don't really need, U.S. dollars at all.
I mean, they could, yeah, right. They could.
The point of taxes is to create a demand. Sorry, I've also been reading I was reading a book maybe like a couple weeks ago called The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton.
Yes, I was going to bring up Stephanie Kelton and the modern monetary theory. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I know someone who I believe actually teaches MMT at I want to say at a university level. In fact, he wrote up most of the resolution that my local, actually 2 Virginia DSA chapters signed in or accepted. That would be Charlottesville and Tidewater DSA. Charlottesville in Virginia, that the same one with the whole rally, and then Tidewater is the Hampton Roads area, Norfolk, Virginia, Newport News, all of that. We recently signed those resolutions saying we should cancel student debt. And Bobby Scott, he is the representative of, I want to say, the more Norfolk and Newport News side of Hampton Roads, Virginia.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I need to do an episode on MMT. I mean, the government could surely. I mean, they could. The U.S. government has the ability to basically do whatever it would like. Honestly.
Yeah, it's more.
It's a choice. It's a choice not to help people, not to provide.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it is a choice.
Let's see.
Thanks for the call. This was. Did you have anything else?
Let me see. Because if I were to talk more about, gosh, well, I know what was it? You're recently talking about Pennsylvania and Arizona elections. I know Virginia. They recently kind of went a little red, and from actually one bright side I have heard is abortion rights in Virginia might not be sliding back too much because there's some important Democrats and some important seats, and it might get killed in committee.
Right.
To, not make it worse. And unfortunately, the Democrats in Virginia dropped the ball on the whole election thing. And
that Virginia election was definitely a sign of that very moment in politics. I mean, the CRT move was all over that. It was the height of that discourse, and I feel like
it started in Virginia, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, a lot of hoity-toity liberals really fell hard for that, or maybe fell isn't even the right term. They were happy to play along with that one. Yeah.
And Terry McAuliffe, unfortunately, he said that parents shouldn't have a voice in the classroom or something. Or I remember seeing commercials saying that one soundbite, but also Terry McAuliffe barely ran an election at all from what I've heard. Like he kind of ran it like a re-election because he was previously the governor, but then, we can't have consecutive governors in Virginia. It has to, every 4 years we get a new governor.
Right. Yeah, we in New York, our governor could be governor for life if they'd like to. I mean, that was my concern with Andrew Cuomo. I mean, he was going to continue to win and win and win, and as long as he wanted to run. And then came out, all those allegations came out, and I mean, he really should have been forced to resign over the COVID nursing home scandal. But I'll take it either way.
Yeah. I've been keeping too much with New York politics, to be honest.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Feel free to call in anytime. It was great.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. I guess, I'll take off now. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, all those nerves up top for no reason. It was a great call. Take care. Have a great day.
All right, man. You.
Whoops. Lost him at the end there. All right, I'll do one more call, and then I will see. I'll start wrapping up. I'll read one more call, and then I'll read some comments. Read the super chats. By the way, I will read all super chats. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yep, you are on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Ionuț. I'm calling from Romania.
Oh, hi, all the way from Romania. How are you doing? What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I just wanted to talk a little bit about politics and all. I caught you live, so I figured, why not? Let's try it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I don't know. I was thinking about maybe we could talk about a little bit of politics, maybe a little bit of pop culture.
Sure.
And maybe give you a view of an Eastern European's opinion on what's happening in the world and especially in America.
Yeah, let's start. Why don't you bring up the first thing you want to talk about, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So English is not my first language,
That's
so if
totally
I say something stupid, I'm going to blame it on that, though it should be relatively okay because I've been working in corporations all my life.
Got it. And there's nothing stupid said, by the way. Everything is good and well thought out when you're calling into this show. Go ahead.
I hope. So a little bit about politics. So here in Eastern Europe, we have Russia very close. We're kind of dependent on NATO. Fortunately, in Romania, we are in NATO, which NATO is actually America. I mean, everybody likes to say that, oh, equal partners, etc. No, NATO is America. So you're there because America is there. We want an America strong, and lately America doesn't feel so strong. And I don't know what you guys are doing there, but it feels like whatever you're doing, you're not change it. So,
right. I mean, what specifically, from as someone from Romania looking at America from where you are, what is like, or even just like how your media covers it, what is like the rhetoric over there for what is going on here in terms of what we're doing, what's going on here that's going wrong?
Well, I guess our media is not criticizing United States a lot because you're our bigger brother, and we need you. And nobody would say anything to kind of hurt American feelings. We also have military bases, American military bases over here. So, yeah, we wouldn't spoil that friendship in any way. But me watching, I guess, closer than your average folk, what's happening in US. I'm talking to you right now. So I guess it's more than the average, Eastern European. It feels like you guys are so divided, and I hope that doesn't kind of spill into your military, which I don't even know what that means. I mean, like, oh, the wrong president won, so I'm going to not follow orders. I hope that doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. That is. That is a great. Not great. But that is an on point concern for sure. In terms of like, I mean, I don't think we are there yet. Thankfully. Hopefully we don't.
I hope not. But
yeah. Hopefully we don't get there.
Well, I don't. If I could push back on that. I was watching, all the Hillary-Trump elections. I was all for Hillary. Then in the Trump-Biden thing, I was all for Trump. It felt like America was strong. NATO was getting stronger. It's safer for us in Eastern Europe. Russia seemed to be chill and not flexing any muscle. Also, Trump seemed to be very harsh on China. So it kind of felt that America was dominating, and we see America like that's the better power. That's see, we're small. It's difficult. We need a bigger friend.
Right.
Of the bigger friends, America seems to be the most transparent, open, and we know that okay, you invade a country for mineral resources. We know everybody has follows their own interests, you guys included. So, but out of United States, Russia, China, if you have to choose, you choose America. It's the most democratic one.
Well, for now, in a way, yeah. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. I mean, I do know. I wouldn't agree with you on the Trump. Trump's strength was basically projecting a bravado that I don't think anyone around the world actually believed. Honestly, I think
it was working, man. It was working. I mean, he went into North Korea. he went into the demilitarized, I don't know, that
DMZ,
area where,
yeah.
So, dude, he went there. That's not a small thing.
Yeah, but what did that do?
That's a big
didn't,
thing.
but it didn't do anything. Nothing came out of that. Nothing. I mean, they didn't pause anything. There was no political capital gained from doing that in terms of getting anything out of North Korea. It was just a way for Trump to sort of try to just add extra a line on his resume, honestly. We didn't get anything out of that. There was no change in how North Korea viewed anything. They still continued with their missile launches. And I'm talking about while Trump was still president. There was no change in behavior from North Korea.
Well, the perception here was that the North Koreans are, piping down. At least that, may be a wrong perception, but that's how it felt. Plus, what did you hear about North Korea lately or since then?
I've actually heard less about North Korea, honestly, in the past,
exactly.
2 years, which is, but Biden's been president for the past 2 years.
No, I get it. But, it kind of, I don't know if Biden did anything related to Korea. I don't know. I mean, he may have done it. But that was a big thing for Trump. By the way, I'm not advocating for Trump.
This is an interesting conversation because it's a viewpoint from someone looking on the outside in. Definitely.
Exactly. So I don't care. It's hashtag not my president.
I mean, how do you think Trump would have handled Russia's war in Ukraine?
You see, it's a good question. Would it have happened? So I don't know.
I think it would have. I don't see why it wouldn't have. Would Russia just have waited for another 40 years for Trump to be out of office, like being forced out of office? I don't know. Be hard to imagine. I don't know.
It's a maybe. It's a strong maybe.
Sure, but I think they would have done it. I think they would have done it regardless, though. Maybe
not in his during his maybe second term. There's
do you think that's more? Do you think that's? I mean, because I have an opinion on this, but I want to see what you think. Do you think that's more based on Trump scaring the boots out of Putin, or the fact that Putin liked having Trump in charge of America because he felt like it was someone he could control?
I don't know.
Because if your concern is Russia as a more powerful entity than the United States.
Oh, it's not. It's so not.
Right. But if your concern is that, like you had brought up before, between like the three,
it's absolutely not.
Right.
I think Trump might have, retaliated. While I'm pretty sure somebody like Obama, I was such an Obama fanboy, I don't think he would have, retaliated.
Well, he didn't with Crimea. I mean, we saw it with Crimea. He didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what he would do.
Exactly. So
I don't know. I do think if this would have happened, let's go from the other angle where Russia does invade Ukraine under Trump. I mean, Ukraine would have been, in my opinion, probably just left to fend for themselves in terms of equipment and funding. I mean, some people might like that. I think at this point, obviously, after a while, there does need to be some sort of negotiation process pushed for. But when the war first started and Russia was going full on balls to the wall, looking like they were going to try to take over all of Ukraine, and they were even trying to get into Kiev. I mean, I worry what would have happened to Ukraine under Trump. I mean, he probably would have just let it happen.
Well, okay, who knows? We don't know.
This is all speculation on things we'll never know, right? Yes.
Correct. By the way, compliment on saying Kiev. I see everybody saying Kiev. It's Kiev. So, but Romania, we have a very long border with Ukraine. Thankfully, no bombshells, no nothing. But we are in NATO, so I don't think Putin would dare. But to go back a little bit on Trump and NATO, one of the, let's say, my personal frustration points was that by commitment, or I don't know, by promise, you are in NATO, you're supposed to spend 2% of your budget on the military, on defense, let's say. What does that mean? Well, it means buying F-16s from the Americans. So you join NATO, you got to spend 2% of your budget buying weapons from the Americans. That definitely helps the American economy. How many countries were doing that before Trump? I think there were like maybe 2 countries, 3 countries. United States, who is overspending. You guys spend a lot on your military.
Too much, way too much, and that funding would be better spent elsewhere, I can assure you. Yes, the U.S. may look like a global superpower because of our military to the outside world, but here inside the States, we have poverty and homelessness and all the terrible issues that you would think that an industrialized nation of this size would at least, if not completely solve, because obviously there'll always be some sort of issues to deal with, there would be a much larger focus and funding towards the issue, you would think, but no.
Yeah, correct. And by the way, I've been watching lately videos on YouTube, like walking through the streets of LA in 4K, walking through Philadelphia in 4K, blah, blah. Man, so many homeless people. It looks like...
I will say though that a lot of those videos that you're seeing are definitely
they search for that
propaganda. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I can tell you that yes, there is a homelessness problem, and yes, it's bad in certain areas. But like, if you walk a couple blocks from probably where they filmed that video, you're going to see a city like you would expect to see. I mean. That doesn't make it any better, obviously, but the right wing here especially really wants to push the idea that America's big cities are failing. And I could tell you, as someone living in the heart of New York City, in the outer boroughs where the working class live. I mean, I live in Queens, which is the most one of the most diverse places in the world because we have both of New York City's airports right here. So people, they immigrate here and they decide to live right here in this borough because it's the closest to the airports. Sure, there is a homeless problem in certain areas, but I would bet, and I'm pretty sure the data bears out, that these issues are actually much more exacerbated in more rural areas in this country, and that the cities are probably doing much better. A lot of that stuff is propaganda. Not saying there's no issue, but it's definitely not what those videos put forward in terms of like New York City and Philadelphia and Chicago are just people everywhere living on the streets. It's not that.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, well, back to my point. So like maybe 2 or 3 countries were spending actually their commitment, they're supposedly committed 2% of their budget to military. America overspending. Probably is Israel in NATO?
I'm not sure. I don't believe so, but they have a relation, obviously, because of
they get a lot of money
their special relationship with the U.S.
Oh yeah.
They have a special relationship with NATO, but no, they're not part of NATO.
Okay, thanks. So probably America, and I think Romania was the second country, and we're a poor country, and all the other countries were not spending what they were supposed to be spending. Germany, France, Spain, UK, all these way richer countries than us in Eastern Europe, but probably because they don't have very close border to Russia. So when Trump kind of pressured them into, you have to do this, it kind of felt like, okay, these bigger countries are paying kind of their part. So it felt like NATO was getting stronger. Still NATO, America equals NATO. But it kind of matters for us in Eastern Europe, especially for the Baltic countries, because they share border with Russia and they have huge Russian minorities. So, so this is like in my Eastern European mind, it would be a plus for Trump.
I mean, what is your like? Where would your political? Where would you lie on the ideological spectrum in Romania? Because I don't want to sort of try to break down your politics based on how you view the U.S. Because obviously, as someone in a Eastern European country, you have to look at things a little bit differently than someone who lives in the U.S. and views the political parties. But like, how is Romania? First of all, is it a more, I'm assuming it's probably like a center right or at least what is the politics there right now, like the administration in power, and where would you lie on that?
Yeah, well, so the main leading party right now is National Liberal Party. It's called. It's got nothing to do with the liberalism.
Right.
It's supposedly, socialist / Democrat type. So kind of lefty. The right has been gaining a bit more ground in the past maybe 8 years, but it still has a small percentage. It's more led by the newest party, and it's more like it has a youth push behind it. For instance, you have your corporations in America. They're not paying their fair share, etc., or the rhetorics that you guys have there, like Amazon is not paying whatever, Apple is not paying whatever. In Romania, corporations, especially the Americans ones and IT ones, they do have very good spotless accounting, and they contribute a lot to our small budget. So corporations you're sure that their accounting is right, and they do everything by the law. Which means we see corporations more favorably here, and corporations hire young people. So young people are kind of supporting the right, but it's all very hazy what is left or right in Romania.
Got it. I mean, I'm looking up the National Liberal Party, and online at least they're being they're on Wikipedia again. This is Wikipedia. They're classified as a center right. Government. I mean, I don't know enough about Romanian politics.
I would
to
give
really
them
weigh
center
in.
left. I would give them center left.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyways, we're Europeans. We're much more, I guess, socialist than you guys. So
yes.
The middle?
I don't know about Romania specifically, but yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, so your take though is that as a Romanian, you are pro NATO.
Oh man, 100.
Hold on, I just lost you because my headphones just died. Give me a second to plug in my. I've been streaming for so long today. My headphones have all the battery in my AirPods have all dried up. So let me just plug in here with this wire. 1 second. Here we go.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. You're still there?
I'm still here, but I just can't hear you yet. Give me 1 second.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You should be
1, 2, 3.
I think I hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So you were saying? I think you were in the middle of a question when the.
Oh my God, I forgot. 1 second. Let me think.
Yes.
Oh
America,
yeah.
So
you
NATO.
being pro, you are a Romanian and you're pro NATO. Give me a little bit of thought process on that.
Yeah. Well, it's our lifeline against a potentially evil Russia taking over again. Communist bloc. We were raised. By the way, I'm 40 years old. Communists, USSR, etc. Our Ceausescu in Romania died. Well, we killed him. When I was 7 years old. So I got a glimpse of communism, but it's not like it ended up immediately. So pretty much everybody above an age hates communism. And we kind of equate communism to Russia. So it's kind of natural to be wary of Russia. So NATO is our lifeline. Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting because I'm like, Trump was not so pro NATO. You know what I mean? Like he would have probably, I mean, he would have defunded NATO. I mean,
Well, see, NATO equals America. The other countries were not buying enough, I guess, military equipment from America. He felt like such a salesman for the United States, such a salesman, like America first, or what was the America? I think that was the America first. Kind of, it felt like it was his motto that he lived by. So whatever promotes America, selling American weapons, you guys are supposed to be buying with 2% of your GDP military equipment. We're here to sell. If you're not going to spend the money, then why are you here? Would he have? It felt like a good pressure. You don't know. We don't know if he would have dismantled it, but the level of pressure that he put seemed perfect. That the other guys up. Plus, Russia didn't help themselves by being so invading Ukraine. So being so expansionist, they didn't help their cases. Western Europe kind of saw that they should do something about it, and they are spending a lot more, especially Germany. From what I hear, they're going to spend a lot more on the military. So.
Right. I mean, I would say it's bad to have a salesman. I know you're looking at it as a good quality, but salesmen aren't always. I mean, aren't usually honest. They're all about all about selling, right?
Yep. I hate. Well, everybody else hates salespeople. It's who do you hate? Salesmen. But what can I say? What can I tell you? It felt a little safer during the Trump years. It's not feeling that safe now. So what can I tell you? And by the way, why Trump versus Biden? To me, it felt a bit strange that I'm strange. I was rooting for Trump because of the Ukraine scandal. Biden's son being on the board of Burisma. Do you know that?
I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah. I didn't hear you for a second.
So Biden's son, Hunter, the guy with the laptop.
Oh, right.
He was on the board of Burisma. The Ukraine scandal, the Biden's Ukraine scandal.
Right.
So, I mean, we hate corruption because we swim in it in Eastern Europe. And having the son of the vice president on the board of an energy company in Eastern Europe, that is so shady. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's also probably what you've heard from that is a lot of right-wing propaganda as well. I mean, for sure, I'm not a fan of any sort of. I'm not supportive or a fan of any sort of nepotism that with Hunter Biden basically getting these positions using the family name. But there's no proof that this goes anything beyond Hunter Biden basically enriching himself. And if the corruption angle is something that really bothers you, then I mean, man, you should have really hated the Trump family. No, I mean, they were. Hunter Biden could only aspire to be as corrupt as the Trump family. I mean, we now know just how entrenched Jared Kushner and Ivanka were in terms of with Saudi Arabia and funding for their projects through their connections, thanks to their father-in-law and father's position as president of the United States, and how they worked with the Saudi prince regime.
Yeah, well, it's all bad. We
agree there for sure. I'm not a fan of people using family members or their own position of power to enrich themselves. That's for sure. Thanks for the call. I really appreciated this. I thought this was a really fascinating discussion. I'm having trouble with my headphones now in terms of hearing you, but I was able to hear most of the conversation. Definitely call back in if you can. I don't usually stream it this time, but would certainly be on the lookout for your call if you ever call back in when I'm streaming.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. I don't think I'm going to be able to take any more calls. Both the time issue, and I'm streaming tonight at 9 p.m., by the way. You should all know that. I'm going to be live 9 p.m. for the Scam Economy interview with Ed Zitron about the Coinbase stuff going on. If you're into crypto, specifically into crypto critique and anti-crypto stuff. And then after that, I do another call-in show. You could call in then. The call-in portion of the show should start around 10 p.m. Eastern time. Folks, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/MattBinder. Subscribe there. If you're not subscribed to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MattBinder. And also, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can connect your Amazon Prime subscription to your Twitch account. And when you do that, Amazon gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription. What is that? It means Amazon will pay your favorite creator at no extra cost to you. It's literally free money Amazon gives you as a Prime subscriber to give to your favorite creator. I'm telling you that in hopes you give it to me. But if not, at least give it to somebody. Don't let it go to waste, because that's just money Amazon gets to keep in their pocket. And if you can afford to do so, I'm really trying to grow my Patreon page in order to grow my own shows, Doomed with Matt Binder and Scam Economy. I want to bring people on board, help disseminate content on more platforms. Clip content more, create more content eventually, bring people on board to do more shows, really just grow the whole thing I'm trying to do. And you could support it over at patreon.com/MattBinder. Really appreciate any support you can give. It would be great to see you guys as regulars watching the streams. I really appreciate you all tuning into the Majority Report today, if you did, and then coming over to this channel for some additional content for the post show, the fun half post show, the post show to Majority Report and Majority Report's own post show, the fun half. Now, before we go, I'm going to read some super chats and some, so let's do that. And then I'll check to make sure if there's anything over on Twitch as well, and then we'll wrap up. Renee with a super chat. I have no idea what you're saying there, Renee. Questo è il spettacolo di Tony Rizzo. Also, Renee says the Gothic vampire is a metaphor for aristocracy. Although you're talking about the Tony conversation. Yins is crazy, yo, says Renee. I don't watch that show, so I don't really know. You're being even more deep than usual, Renee. More insidery than usual. Mifune with a super chat. Left is best. Mr. Monster with a super chat. Apparently, the court might unseal a part of the affidavit for the search and seizure. And Caesar, you said seizure, but you said Caesar at Mar-a-Lago. Mr. T with a super chat. Hey, Matt, could you maybe give your thoughts on a new electric Dodge Challenger and an end to the era of muscle cars? I'm not a big car guy. Public transportation all the way. But obviously, let's put it this way. If people are going to buy cars, they should buy electric cars. But they should also not buy Tesla. Because obviously, Elon Musk is a deplorable person. And I don't think Tesla's all that great. I think they really, if you really cared, if you were someone who really cared about building a more energy efficient vehicle, you would not force all this additional bullshit into the vehicle so you can charge the prices that Tesla charges for their cars. You would try to make the most affordable electric vehicles possible. You don't need the big screen on the dashboard. You don't need the self-driving bullshit. You don't need any of that. We're just looking to move off of fossil fuels. That is what it is. But Tesla has connected all these other technological doohickeys with being an electric car, and that's unnecessary. Now, I don't know if that's what Dodge is doing, but somebody, if we're going to live in a world where people buy cars, obviously, somebody needs to make an extremely affordable vehicle, electric vehicle. And that will be the big help, I think, to get more less gas guzzling cars on the road. Themic with a $10 super chat. At what point do we consider coughing on the far right? Right. Renee says, free Transnistria and caller, are you related to Sebastian Gorka? Oh, I've got to ask about Andrew Tate. Shit. I wanted to ask him about Andrew Tate being a Romanian. I don't know if he knows. I don't even know if he would know who Andrew Tate is, but Andrew Tate's got his whole setup there in Romania, so he can take advantage of the laws there in terms of, yeah. H11 with a super chat. Matt, keep up the good work. Been reaching out on Skype for weeks. Oh, I'm sorry. I really can't. I really can't take your call right now if I wanted to, because my headphones and it wasn't working. It wasn't really working to have it the plug-in thing. But I will read the chat you sent me in on Skype here. That edit you did over the January 6 hearings was in proper Queen's form. Reminded me of Shackton on a fool on NBA TNT. LOL. Yeah, call in tonight if you can. Yeah, definitely call in tonight if you can. What else? There was some other. Benjamin says, good job on MR today. Thank you. P.S. Wright says, it is not Kiev. It is Kyiv per Ukraine. T. Menaz says, the callers' audio quality is great. Yes, that's one of the reasons I use Skype. I know everyone isn't using Skype, but the audio quality is really good. Saeed says, the police therefore exist to cover... Saeed says, crime is always a symptom of some failure in society. The police therefore exist to cover up society's imperfections. Absolutely. Walter says, post show. This is not the fun half. This is the fun half post show. Daredevil says, guys, give Matt a minute. This is like the first chat I saw. Guys, give Matt a minute. He's taking his crypto-powered jetpack from the Brooklyn MR studio back to his Tim Pool-esque Queens compound. The man is zipping across the New York skyline as we speak. Yeah. Moenap says, good job with MR hosting. Thank you. P.S. Wright says, Russia is still going full on balls to the wall and trying to continue to Kyiv. Just because our press isn't covering it as much doesn't mean they aren't. I did think last I saw they did they did retreat from Kyiv proper. I'm not saying they left Ukraine, but that could be wrong, and you could be absolutely right. And yes, the press has not been covering it as much anymore, unfortunately. And let me check over on Twitch. I already thanked Rob Rousseau. If you're not a subscriber, don't forget, follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. Villanova gave out 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much, Villanova. And thanks again, Rob Rousseau, for the raid. Let's see. And I think, let me see. Let me thank the people who joined Patreon too. I had a few Patreon subscribers. Let me give a shout. Where's that? 1 second. Thank you to the people who've joined Patreon over the past few days since my last stream. I'll read the people who joined since the last stream here. We got Chuckles B, Jason S, Brawlerella, Stompy, DB, Christopher, and Pearson B. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon at patreon.com/MattBinder. Your support is extremely appreciated. And who should I raid on Twitch while I leave? I'm going to leave in just a second. Who should I raid on Twitch, by the way? Sid Fishes with the 100 bits cheer over on Twitch. I wish YouTube had a raid mechanism. I would love to raid people on YouTube, but they don't. But who should I raid over on Twitch? And the final chat I will read comes from Charles's Ghost, and I'm going to read this because I've addressed it previously. Binder has a strong mustache part. I do, and I've explained before. When you reach my level of anti-fascist, it becomes impossible to grow hair there. You just can't. It comes with being the ultimate anti-fascist. If you ever see anyone who can't grow any hair here, it's because they've achieved the height. Like they're an Antifa super soldier when that happens. It's impossible. Who am I rating on Twitch, by the way? Yeah, my cat Sabu is whining right now. Who am I rating on Twitch? Oh, is the Surfs on Twitch right now? How could I not raid this? Oh yeah, I'm gonna raid the Surfs without a doubt. I gotta raid the Surfs. I never get to raid the Surfs because I'm never streaming when Lance does, and Lance was just on. Doomed on Tuesday. If you haven't checked it out, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch, and it's at doomedcast.com. All right, everybody, I'm going to raid the Surfs right now, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the support today. Don't forget, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. I will be back on with Scam Economy. Check it out. That's tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's right. The Matt-rathon continues. I will see you all then, and enjoy the Surfs for people who I'm sending over there right now.